We had some kids from school, it's their weekend, so it's hard to catch up with them. We really wanted the kids to see what this man has done over the last 20 years, but you know, it's hard to corral kids on the weekend, but I'm glad y'all showed up. So I won't be talking to G all day. So we're gonna get this party started. It should be about exactly an hour. After that hour, we're gonna finish up some of the Sadler burger food, the drink, and network. I mean, it's only a few of us in here, so we here for a reason, whatever that reason may be, but the reason is Paul. So we're gonna get this kicked off in the next 60 seconds. L, you ready? Oh, we live. It's all good.
How y'all doing today? My name is Greg. I'm gonna be your co-host alongside my man, Coach Ray. So today we got somebody real special, an entrepreneur, a hustler, a guy who's done it all. And I would, go down the laundry list of everything he's done and accomplished, but we'd be here all day. So I'm gonna bring out Mr. Paul Sadler so he can tell the story to y'all.
B, what up?
What's going on, Coach?
Man, everybody know your business accolades and all that, but I want to start personally with the athletic part to tell them a little bit more about you as being an athlete.
So the athletic start, obviously, from back, we could just start. I always played sports, Always played sports. I played sports since I was a kid. Won national championships in basketball from since I was 6 or 7 years old. Same as like with my son. So started winning national championships back when I was a kid. Championships throughout high school, and then when I went to college, this is where me and Coach Ray met. He was my JUCO coach at Tri-C, and then I I went to Tennessee State first to play. Then when I decided not to play there, I came back to Tri-C to play for Coach Ray. And then it pretty much went from there. And I stopped playing ball at that point. But sports was always a critical point to me because that's all I ever did growing up. That's all I did was play ball. Right. Football, basketball, baseball. Yeah.
So what teams you play for? Like what? Get them a shout out.
Coming up, shout out to Shaker Heat. Shout out to CBC Mike Duncan. Shout out to Coach C out there at Tennessee State. One of my guys who I actually played with at Tennessee is the coach now. Yeah, Elroy, so he's out there playing. He's the coach now, and then obviously shout out to you out there at Tri-C because I played for you.
Okay, yeah. So we gonna get to this. We gonna get to why you didn't play, why you didn't play a full season.
Right.
So you come to my office, and you ask for a personal meeting. So we have a meeting.
Right.
And what did you say after that?
What happened was at that point in time when I had came back to Cleveland, I was already making a lot of money at the time. So I had told Coach Ray, I was probably like 19, 20. I think I was 19. I was 19 at the time. 19. And I told Coach Ray, I really want to play for the team. Because that team actually won a national championship. I was actually mad because I didn't stay on that team. Because that team was destined for greatness, hands down, because a lot of people on that team I had played ball with from AAU.
Tennessee State, you're talking about?
No, Tri-C.
Okay.
So, because did we win a national championship? Or the year before we won a national championship?
I remember that.
But that squad, we were going to win the JUCO national championship. It was me, Wayne, Wu. It was a lot of guys who were just great guys that we all had played together with AAU. So we had already played prior years together, but everybody had went to college. No, and I didn't know what happened to everybody's college experience, but we all ended up back in Cleveland together playing at Tri-C. I didn't notice until I got to Tri-C. You know what I mean? Because nobody was communicating. I talked to Swanee, who played CBC, but Swanee was in South Florida, but he used to come down to Tennessee all the time and play, just pick up with us. So that's how that went. But I ended up going to Coach Ray's office because I think it was the clothing line I had at the time, YBM, and I told Coach Ray I was, at that point, I was just making a lot of money, and I told Coach, it's just, hey, Coach, I'm not gonna be able to play anymore because, I gonna have to get this money. You know what I mean? Because it was just one of those situations where I could have played, but I wasn't going. My full focus wouldn't have been in sports at the time because at that point in time, when the finances come up and once you get introduced to that cash, it's kind of hard to keep your mind wrapped around something that really not, it doesn't have finances
Right,
involved.
kind of hard to be playing for free
Yeah, it's
when you
kind of
get
hard to
making all
play
that money.
for free. Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah.
They ain't playing for free now though.
No, they ain't paying for free now.
It wasn't like that back then.
Different ballgame now for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like that back then. Yeah, but that was good though.
Even back when you say you won the AAU national championship,
Mhm.
take us back there because
So that team, it was me, Swanee Cooper, Reggie Hardware, Scoop McDougal, RP Scoop.
and these are all local guys that
These
played.
are all local guys, right? Our Jared was our coach. Jared is the coach now at where's Jared coaching now? He's at he was the head coach at Youngstown State. Now he's somewhere else. Sherman Cartwright was our assistant coach. He runs the Cavs now. So that squad, we had a lot of special people on that squad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we went very far, and we went all the way down to Vegas and won the national championship. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, your son play AAU basketball, or you just?
So Paulie played AAU. Yeah, so Paulie played AAU all the way through to 10th grade, and then Paulie stopped playing basketball in 10th grade because came 10th grade, he started getting all the football scholarships. Everything started rolling in.
It's a whole different
yeah.
culture with AAU, even from back then to now. Now it's just crazy, the AAU circuit.
Yeah, it's a bunch of
super
money.
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
all money. It's all sponsorships. It's
For
all
sure.
money. It's all. I heard they charging parents like $50 to get in games.
No, they are, but I mean, like, Mike Duncan was way ahead of this, right? So we had sponsorships, like, not to say like we had NIL, but Adidas was.
Don't get nobody no trouble. Hold on.
No, but I'm saying, but Adidas was literally dropping off packages at our house every day. Running shoes, flip flops, bags, duffel bag, Adidas duffel bags. I had so much stuff that my sister had Adidas stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Because me and my sister are 13 months apart.
Mhm.
She's my older sister, but it was like one of those situations where Mike D just had it coming through. So I think that was I ain't gonna say he was the beginner in NIL, but Mike D, he already had the sponsorships coming. Because back in the day, it wasn't like 50 AAU teams. It was only like, okay, it's 12 people that are good in the city. We get in the top 12, you playing for CBC. It wasn't like 50 teams. It was maybe 3. You had CBC, Akron Shooting Stars, and maybe somebody whose daddy put a team together.
Yeah.
You had 3. It was just the top players in the city. It wasn't everybody had a team. You really had the ball back in the day. Yeah.
For sure. And then so you over at Shaker, huh?
I came out of Shaker Heights, yeah.
Tell me about that, the sports at Shaker and the culture of sports.
So the culture of sports is good at Shaker. So I started off at Chanel. I got recruited to Chanel to go play football. So I originally came out to play football for Coach Roski at Chanel. And that year we should have won a state championship. It was my freshman year, it was me, Steve Cargile, Bam Childress, Swift, The Rock, Ramon Shavers. You got to think, 6 people on that team went to the league. Went to the NFL off of that football team. So I really got recruited to go play football at Chanel, and I ended up playing for Coach Crelly, playing basketball. Coach Crelly ended up going to Akron. So this is how I ended up at Shaker, because I left because I didn't want to play football anymore. And then I'm like, I was better at basketball. I wasn't football. I was just a bigger kid. You know what I mean? So once I started hooping, me and Anthony Teague left Chanel and went to Shaker because we were both from Shaker. So that's how we ended up
What
at
grade
Shaker.
was this?
This was my sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was my sophomore year. So I stayed at Chanel my freshman year, and then my sophomore year I went to Shaker.
So you was at Shaker, basketball and football?
Basketball. I didn't play football after that. I played for Coach Watson. The culture was good, but the main coach that really influenced me the most was Coach Hardaway. I would say, and me and Coach Hardaway still talk to this day. Most of my coaches I keep in contact with, the coaches that I liked and the coaches that really just had an impact on me. I would say Coach Hardaway, Coach Young, and Coach Ray.
Okay, so
Those are like the coach I keep in contact with.
take us back to high school. Some of them Shaker big games, rivalry games, and all that stuff.
Well, the rivalry was Cleveland Heights, right? So, and Heights was a big one for us because you had a lot of good play, and a lot of the guys, not a lot of guys, 2 of the guys from Heights, Alex Nixons and Duck, we played AAU together. So it was one of those situations where it was fun, but it was a real battle because it was me and it was Alex Nixon, it was Duck. And Duck actually won Mr. Basketball our senior year. Duck showed out that year.
Oh,
yeah.
right, from Heights, one team? Okay.
Yeah. He was a dog that year. Our senior year, he was cold.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So when you from your sports, everything you did with the sports, how did you use any, or if you did use any of those principles and translate them into business? Like for a young student athlete that
Right.
wants to get into entrepreneurship, trying to just lead them with some type of tips or a roadmap to how to transition and take some of them skills with you.
Well, it's communication, right? So, I mean, the number one part is communication. The second part is teamwork, right? Because let's just touch on communication. Communication comes from when you have to talk to your other teammates. Like, hey, y'all, we in the clutch. We got to make this stuff happen.
Right.
All right. Number two is the teamwork part of things, because teamwork, it takes adversity, right? You got your wins, you got your losses. But if you have team players, you all can work through it together, right? And it goes to business, because in business it's ups and downs, right? So it's like, how do you adjust when things are not going as good? Do you all just close the business? Do you all quit the team, or do you all stick together and make it work, or come up with a better plan, like run a better play? You know what I'm saying? Make a play.
Make a play.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, so what do you do, right? And then I would say the third piece would be one of those situations where it's more or less just, and just listening, right? Because you have to listen to your coach, you have to listen to your mentors, you have to listen to everybody around you. And I think one of the biggest things in business is just being able to sit back and listen and not talk so much, right? Because when you don't want to show your hand in business, because a lot of times in business, you kind of want to just listen and see what's going on in the room, and then you kind of see how you can be more effective in the space, as opposed to just showing your hand right in front of everybody. Just be like, okay, I maybe can help out in this part.
There's some good keys there. There's some good keys.
How'd you learn that? Or that's something that you always went by, or something made you?
Well, no, I would say, like I said, like how you said, what did I learn from sports? I would say you learned that from sports, right? And just being able to stick down. But I would say my father, my mother, right? So my father he just retired just literally last Sunday.
Oh,
but
Shout
he
out
just
to the
retired
Rev.
last Sunday.
Shout out to Rev and Sadler. Rev and Sadler.
So shout out to the Rev. But my father, he's always been superior in his field. My mother was an editor. She retired. You know what I'm saying? But she was the top in her field. So I grew up in a house where like I would say the competition was on an all-time high, right? So my mother was successful. My father was successful. My sister was a dog. You know what I mean? So it's like when you in a house with everybody successful, like you ain't got no choice but to, so even like, because Robin will come home like, oh, I got straight A's. Like, damn. I had a straight A and a B. And my sister be like, yeah, it's because you're stupid. You know what I'm saying? but you got to think, be like, all right, next semester it ain't going to be like that. But I would watch my parents like, all right, yeah, we made 100,000 this year. We did this, we did that. So it's just like, and you got to think back in the 90s and the 80s, that was, six figures was different.
Yeah, that was good money.
Yeah.
Like $500,000 right now.
No, for real. So that was, I would say, like, it started off in the household. Then from the household, it went to sports, because, like, we didn't have an option not to play. Everybody had to play something. You know what I mean? So my sister had to throw the baton, play the violin. It didn't make a difference. She had to cheerlead. Everybody had to play something. You know what I mean?
That's key for the parents to know out there.
Yeah, everybody had to play something.
Put your kid in some type of sport, play something, because those skills, they really transfer. But what is something you had to unlearn from sports that you was taking into business and you like, nah, that ain't gonna really work?
Everybody cheering for you all the time. Yeah. You walk into the arena, everybody screaming, pow, pow, pow. Yeah, that don't work like that in business every time. You know what I mean? Because it's not. Sometimes in business, they ain't cheering for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would say the number one thing was stop thinking that everybody's cheering for you. Because when you go to the arena, you do one dunk. Everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody on your back after that. It don't make a difference if you make a play the rest of the game. You dunk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That one dunk take you a long way.
That one dunk
take you the whole season.
And that's not like that in business. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So you said you grew up with your father as a preacher, though. What was that like growing up?
It was cool. It was cool. Yeah, because I would say the religious background piece it kept me solid a lot of times, and I really appreciated that because like religion keeps you grounded, right? But my father was never the type of pastor that would make you like we wasn't at Bible school every Sunday or every Wednesday and church every Sunday. My father was basically just like come if you want to come kind of situation. To just make sure that you want to be where you want to be. So we would come in every Sunday just because, obviously my mother would take us and my dad would make us go, but it wasn't like a make us go. It was like, just come and participate.
You didn't feel no pressure from that, like being a preacher kid, like?
No, because that wasn't how the household was set up. No, because the church people were church people, you know what I mean? But it's like, we never felt any pressure because the pressure didn't come from our parents or anything like that. The pressure from the church people, because everybody thought, oh, you a PK, this, that, but it was just like, man, you got to think. All right, so I'm originally from Chicago. My sister's from D.C. My mother and my father's from Philly. My mother's from Harlem, right? So they met at Howard. I'm about to give you the breakdown.
Okay.
So my parents met in college.
Okay.
When they were living in D.C., they had my sister. My father's a pastor, so he ended up getting his first church, his second church in Chicago, Trinity United Church of Christ. That's where they had me, right? So all my summers were spent between Philadelphia with my uncles or Harlem with my grandmother on my mother's side, right? So like so my upbringing came from just being on the East Coast from Philly or being in Harlem. So when we would come home, you know, because you get shipped out in the summertime. It's the same, you know, I don't know if you all grew up like this, but back in the day, we got shipped out. Your parents, in the summertime, you get shipped out. You know what I'm saying? So, nigga, you gone for the, you know what I mean? Yeah, we see you in August. You know what I mean? So, you got shipped out. You going from auntie, uncle, then you go to your grandma for the rest of the summer.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's how that went. So, I would say a lot of that just came from just growing up in different places and seeing a lot of different things, and that's what would change stuff.
Growing up in those places,
Yeah.
you know, what did you take from that culture? Do you still have any?
Yeah, because I mean, like the culture, you got to think, wherever you see as a child, it resonates later in life, right? So I would say growing up in those different places, you take the culture, you take the style, you take the hustle, you know, you take a little bit of everything from these places because this is what you're seeing every day. And I would say like, it's a whole different situation, right? Because if we were in Harlem right now, right, it'd be, let's just say, I don't know, let's just say 1,000 people on this block.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? It's just a different population kind of situation. So the hustle is different because you can go outside right now. Let's just say, I don't know, let's just say you selling glasses. You can go outside and sell 50 glasses right now because it's just that amount of people out there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So the hustle is different. You know what I mean? So it puts a different hustle on you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of that, let's talk about your first business. Was YBM your
YBM wasn't my first business. So my first business was when I was in high school. I was renting out throwback jerseys. So my aunt.
Wait. Renting out jerseys?
Yeah, so you remember back in the day, throwbacks was hot.
I remember all that.
Right.
I
So
remember niggas
when
renting
I
them.
was in high school, my aunt, it used to be a street in New York. I think it used to be Delancey, but Delancey, this was in the 90s, right? So Delancey was where you can get all your basic bootleg stuff, right? Yeah. So my aunt would go get the throwback jerseys, because throwbacks obviously got all the mission and that's bootleg stuff, and she would put boxes together, send them to me. Like, you know, like, don't go spend all your money, I got the throwbacks. So what I had so many throwbacks at the house that I started renting them out because everybody wanted to get throwback jerseys for homecoming, dates, and things like that. So I started renting them out instead of selling them. Rent them out, get them back, rent them out, get them back. Because I'm like, damn, I can sell the same product 10 times. You know, so that's how that was how that basically started. That was the first situation with the throwback business.
And then you went on to.
Then after that I started when I took that money and started building cars. So I started putting the old schools together. Okay. So then that's where I really made my first chunk of change. And I'm like really first had like I was like my senior or sophomore year, junior year in high school. Or senior year in high school, when I had first made my like 15, 20,000, I had sold a couple cars that I had put together, and then that's when it really started to come. I would say come together because, you know, like, you know, anybody had no 20,000 in high school.
No, ain't nobody. They didn't have.
Yeah. But it was
unless they was doing something illegal.
I was putting cars together, selling cars to the guys that was hustling. You know, yeah.
So even when you selling those. Selling cars to, you know, the guys that hustle. So
yeah.
So the lure of that fast money never appealed to you or never tried to grasp you? Or?
No, I was never in the, I would sell anything that didn't come with jail time. You know what I mean? Yes, because I wasn't, so growing up in Harlem and in Philly, I had cousins that went to jail for this is the heroin era, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I had aunties on heroin, I had all that kind of stuff, going to get my aunties from the heroin house and all that kind of stuff, so I was never into drugs, you know what I mean? So it was, and I had cousins who sold a lot of it that went to jail, cousins that went to jail for murder, and this was all while, you know, I was a child coming up. So I was never, I always knew that I wasn't gonna be dealing with that because it came with a lot of trauma for the families, and also on both sides of the fence though, if you did it or if you sold it. So I always left it alone.
Yeah, man. So we moving past that. We gonna jump all around, but you know, some of the most exciting times when I went back and looked on your Facebook, it seemed like you were having a great time when you were working for Hennessy Moët.
Yeah, LVMH. Yeah. So I worked for LVMH for about 10 years. About 10 years I was working for them. I was on the, I started off on the Cleveland team, moved to the Ohio team, then moved to the international team. So LVMH is Louis Vuitton, Moët, Hennessy. So I started off with a contract first. It was a 6-month contract. that we ended up turning into a year contract that turned into a 2-year contract that ended up just being 10 years after everything was all over. We did it all the way up to the pandemic. But it was a very good opportunity. So what we did was influence folks all over the country to basically drink Moët and Hennessy. You know, so it started off with just Hennessy VS, right, which is the, I'm not gonna say like the lower level of Hennessy, but because there's no lower level, but it's just that's your beginner, Hennessy VS. Then I started working on the higher marks, which was Henny XO, Hennessy Paradise, and I was just started working with the high enough clients because my skill is more selling you the high-end stuff. You know, it's not necessarily, I can influence you to go buy anything, right? But like I could go in a room and tell a billionaire this is what we need to do. You know what I mean? And then we can just make one deal instead of 50 deals. You know what I mean?
That sounds like good business.
So
that sounds like good business.
Right, I could cut one deal. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to cut 25 deals today. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's how the Moët Hennessy stuff worked out. And I ended up actually a lot of young ladies who were actually from Cleveland, Kelly Walden, Aria Wright, people that actually worked for Moët Hennessy, had a lot of roots in Cleveland. Ingrid Bass, she has Best Wine right now. It's all over the world. But these are all people that have roots in Cleveland. So I ended up getting the job because everybody basically had some kind of roots to Cleveland, and we all got cool at the training. Right. Yeah.
How you like working in the liquor business? It seemed
the liquor business was cool. I liked it a lot. I'm typically, I mean, the liquor business was very good because the liquor business introduced you to a lot of different people, right?
For sure.
So when you have the opportunity to meet people, network, and broaden your space, right? Because I'm always big about like getting out of your comfort zone. Because when you get out your comfort zone, you can go meet new people, right? And as long as you have a problem with meeting new people, you'll be able to make a lot of money, right? So I think it took me to places that I wouldn't have went if I just would have because I tried to turn the job down multiple times, right? Because at that point in time, I had 5 daycares. I had a couple other businesses going on at the time, so I didn't need the money. And Mr. Williams, who ended up being a CI on one of my cases that we'll talk about that on another page, but he was the one that actually brought me into the liquor industry, right? So he kept telling me, Paul, just like, man, take the job. I'm like, I don't need to take the job. I don't want, like, you know, I don't need it at the moment. But he was just like, man, just go to New York and go to the training. Just fly out there, go to the training. So I flew out there, went to the training, and that's when I understood what was going on.
And something else that just stood out, what you said is you said that it was a lot of Cleveland ties, you know, with
Moët Hennessy.
Yeah, and so
yeah.
Let's talk about that because I feel like, you know, no matter where you go, what level, what company, wherever in the world, you're going to find somebody from Cleveland somewhere in the mix.
Yeah, it's a big fact.
So
what I would say is that, like, you just never know who's from Cleveland, right? So Rodney is amazing. So let me get, so in Moët Hennessy, you got let's say the vice president, you got the president, you have international team, then up top of that you have something that's called a maison. The maison is basically a friend of the house. So the friend of the house is basically the Hennessy house, the Moët house, the Dom Perignon house. These are higher than everybody in the thing, right? Rodney is my homegirl's cousin.
Okay.
Right, from Cleveland. Rodney, being on the top level, he finds out that it's a guy from Cleveland. And me and him have a conversation, and we ended up finding out we know the same people. And it literally took me from being on the Cleveland team to the international team in one conversation, just based off of being in Cleveland.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So you played a role in shaping the entrepreneur culture here, especially in Cleveland. What does the culture mean to you, and what are some changes you want to see in the Cleveland entrepreneurial space?
Changes? I don't know about, because it's hard to change without population, right? So I mean, when I say what I mean by that is like, I think it's all kind of great entrepreneurs out here. Everybody's, you know, doing their thing. It's just one of those situations where it's really hard to tap in to the maximum capacity without the population you need.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like if you're only doing business in one area or one space, it's gonna make it tough to make, you know, the maximum amount of dollar you need to make because the people aren't here anymore, right? So I mean, I think when we moved to Cleveland, it was 1 million some odd people.
Yeah, if it was the 90s, it was a million some people here.
People here. You're dealing with like 295.
Yeah, 300.
Yeah, 300 at the moment. Yeah. So like that's a 75% decrease. So when it comes to like, you know, what I see with the entrepreneur, I see the entrepreneurs doing great things, but I also think that it's a B2B kind of situation. When I say B2B, it's business to business. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, you think about business to retail or business to consumer, right? B2C. And if you really want to make the real money, it's B2B. I've been in B2C so many different times that it's just like, you know, say I've had all kind of bars and clubs and all that kind of stuff. It's B2C, right? But as soon as somebody shoot the club up, as soon as somebody do this, it's over with. But the napkin company or the cup company never had a problem because they doing B2B. They just
B2B.
going on to the next person to open up another club. It's B2B.
Right.
So it's just like you gotta I just feel like if we're gonna just tap in, you really gotta tap in B2B and get out of B2C. You know what I mean? Because if you want to stay consistent and really just put longevity and really have something to pass down on to next generations, it's gonna have to be B2B.
I think that was a gem. I think that was something the people that's watching, the people that's in the audience can understand. B2C and B2B. That was good game.
Difference. Yeah, it's a difference. It's a big difference. Yeah.
So I noticed you said that, you know, you've been doing this for a while and all the business you have established. So if you could talk to someone who's just starting out today, what would be some of the 3 key things you would tell them to build on?
First thing is save the money. I mean, because when the money gets to coming in, you get to spending it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? You get to spend it,
sure.
and then when it starts coming in at a bigger level, you get to spending it more. You know what I mean? So I would say number one thing I would say save the money. Number 2 is just market research. So before you open up a business, man, just do the market research because you can save a lot of money and save a lot of time by just doing research. You know, so just because you got a bright idea doesn't mean it's a great idea. Just do your market research.
For sure.
You know, and just to make sure, like, because it's just like, you know, obviously it's a lot of things that might pop in your head that you may want to do, may want to act on. But without your market research, you really don't know if somebody else is doing this or what's going on. So I would say number 2, do your market research. And number
Have you
3,
made that mistake?
Hell yeah. What?
The market
Yeah,
research. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, it's just a lot of different businesses. So I mean, like, if we go back to the beginning, like, I mean, you just any business you get into in the beginning, you're like, all right, I'm about to just open it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I got the cash or whatever, I got the money. I'm gonna just open the business up. So I open the business up, but you don't realize you open the business up, but then it's a big boy right here selling the same thing that you're selling. So let's just say you open up all right, I'm gonna open up a grocery store, but then you ain't do your market research and realize that Walmart was opening up 5 days later on the corner. Right? You're not about to sell nothing no more because the big dog is right here. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Outside of folks that want to shop at mom and pops, Walmart is gonna get all the business. So you be out of business in 6 months, right? So you just have to realize like what's around you, what's going on in that market research. So I've done it multiple times, but that's how I got to the point where I'm like, hey, we're just gonna do all the market research before we jump into anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what about the 3rd reason?
Yeah. So I would say the 3rd reason is just because it ain't for you. I mean, because it's just like people want to get in business all day long.
That's really
nah,
real.
because nigga, you ain't no entrepreneur. Like, just leave it alone. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, go get your 9 to 5 and live your life. You know what I mean? Like, don't get into this hustler's game. You know
and
what I
that's
mean?
for the streets or any hustle.
That's any hustle. Like, it's not for you. You're not a hustler.
I tell niggas
You know
all
what
the
I'm
time,
saying?
go
You're
get
not a
job.
businessman. Like, you're not a businesswoman. Just get out the game. Go provide for your family. Like, real talk. Because it's just like, don't get into a game that's not built for you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people get in games that just aren't built for them because it's the allure of, oh, I own this, oh, I own that. You don't own nothing.
Right.
You own 100% of nothing. Like, just don't get into the game just because it's not for you.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that, what you were saying, talk to us a little bit about the clubs. You had the entertainment clubs.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've been partners in a lot of clubs, but we could just touch on, like, let's just say Lotus Lounge.
Yeah, let's touch on Lotus. I think Lotus was
So Lotus was cool. I had a good time with Lotus Lounge. We made a lot of money at Lotus Lounge. Lotus Lounge, me and 2 of my friends.
And where was this
over
at?
that- It was in the Flats. It was on, I can't remember the name of that street, but it was in the Flats under the bridge over there by Larry Flint's.
Okay.
But so Lotus Lounge, we opened that up. And let me tell you something, like, so this is why you never know what's going on. So we opened that up in 2019. The pandemic hit in 2020, right? So we opened the club up, club jumping. Pandemic hit, and literally we get a call while we got a brunch going on that the whole city's about to shut down, right? It's on the news, like it's literally going on the TV, like everything about to shut down. And we like, what you mean everything about to shut down? We couldn't believe it, and like they literally shut the club down. They had the National Guard, all that stuff was in the Flats, shutting everything down. So we're like, damn, we got all this money, we got over $100,000 invested in this situation. We ain't even been open, you know what I mean? Maybe because the pandemic, I never forget this day, it was March. It was the day in March. when it happened.
Beginning of March too.
Yeah, we opened up, let's just say September. So we ain't even got our money back yet. And then the pandemic hit, boom, now we shut down, right? Now, so we down a couple $100,000. And all the inventory that we got from the week, you know what I mean? It's all in there, right? So it was a learning experience because at first we was like, man, what we gonna do? But then that damn pandemic money hit. When that pandemic money hit, niggas lost their mind.
Like cracking everything?
Yeah, like it was like they came down buying sections. We had people spending because it was people I had never seen. Like, you know, we had our regulars. We knew who was coming to spend money with us every week, right? But when the pandemic hit, it was like, let's just say all y'all started buying sections. And y'all coming to the club and like, what's up, Paul? Like, what's up, bro? You know what I mean? I give you extra 10,000 to buy him out the section. You go extra 10 to buy him out the section? Run it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was telling my regulars.
They was wilding with the money like that?
Man, they was wilding with the cash. I was telling my regulars, like, look, y'all come sit at the bar. I just give you the bottles. So I started making sections at the bar for my regulars because I would just tell them.
The pandemic
like,
was crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, these niggas not gonna be here when the money gone.
Yeah,
so y'all just chill. You know what I'm saying? And then right after that, All-Star Game came.
Oh yeah, All-Star Game came.
All-Star Game hit 2022, right? So when 2022 came, All-Star Game. And we bubbled off All-Star Game because the pandemic ran right into All-Star Game. Right around the All-Star Game, I turned around to my homies that came from Chicago. I sold the club at All-Star Game, in the club. Like at the All-Star event we had with my homies from Team Hennessy.
Yeah.
My boys from Chicago, my boy Tone Capone, his homies from Chicago. I sold the club right at the party. Yep. They never did nothing with it. Yep. Took the money and left.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So man, we it's so many businesses, man. There's so many different things. Gee, you want to talk about one of these businesses? Because it's 35 of them.
I'm like, but that throwback rental jersey is real. I got to know
that
how you
throwback rental jersey is crazy.
How you operated this? What came up with like the numbers?
So how I started was like this, right? I was wearing the jerseys and people were trying to buy the jerseys, but I didn't want to sell my jerseys because I'm like, man, like I ain't really, you know, my auntie got me these jerseys, so it's like, you know, so I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? And then my sister was like, why don't you just let them borrow? And I'm like, well,
you want nothing for free, huh?
Yeah, right. I'm like, borrow one, but like, I'll rent it to you. Give me $40. You know, and then that $40 was just like, all right, cool, bring it back tomorrow. And that's how that started. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So tell us about YBM. So what does YBM stand for?
Young Businessman. So YBM was the clothing line I had. That's how I made my first 100,000. But YBM, and that's how me and Coach Ray. That's how I ended up stopped playing for Coach Ray. So YBM was Young Businessman. It was a clothing line. I know, Juan, you was back there YBM days. Yeah. So it was like a lot of guys that was back there. YBM, Cam, you was back there YBM days when it was just like we had clothing line. We had a clothing line. It was a hand-painted clothing line, and we were just selling shirts, selling pants, selling all kind of jackets and all that kind of stuff. I think Shira, y'all was all there back in the day for YBM stuff. We had just a clothing line. It was popping. You know, everybody was buying it all over the city. We was doing fashion shows at Next. It was sold at Next. All your local clothing stores, it was sold at, and then we took it from there, and that was really like a movement at that point in time in the city.
So I see that it had a little reach, so it reached some celebrities, it reached some, some national people. So you want to talk about that?
The thing that blew YBN was MTV Super Sweet 16. So Colin Jackson, which was Andrew Jackson's son, he's from Cleveland. He went on MTV Super Sweet 16, and I was his favorite designer at the time. So when he went on MTV Super Sweet 16 with the YBM on, it just blew nationally. It just went all like instantly. Like
it only take one time, right? It only take one.
It don't even take one. It take a second because like on national TV, you don't realize like the effect of national TV. Because I remember I was sitting in my parents' room watching it because I had just came back from college. I think I was like 19 when I left. Yeah, when I was 19, 20, I had moved back home to my parents' house. I never forget. We was on MTV and I was sitting in my parents' house. We were all watching the show come on. And my dad was like on the website. I'm like, Dad, just be on the website just in case we get an order.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My father like, Paul, something wrong with the website. I'm like, what you mean something wrong with the website? He like, it's something. Something keep coming in like something's wrong with the ordering form thing. I'm like, what you mean? He's like, it's just numbers. It's just so many numbers coming in. So I go look at the thing, And like literally like every second, like it's just more orders coming, order from all over the world.
And this
So
was
that's
probably
what-
during dial-up days too. So the
Yeah,
internet-
so it was like you know you just reading it at that point in time. So my father like, man, something wrong. Like something wrong. He checking the internet thing, just thinking it's tripping. You know what I'm saying? And cause we didn't know. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden we realized these were sales coming through, and that's really what took it to the next level. Yeah.
So once it took off, so did you got it in more stores here? Or
Yeah,
across the
so we
country,
got
or-
it in more stores, but it was really more or less. I ended up cutting a deal with Russell Simmons. So with YBM, it was the dot
that was real.
format.
That was real casual.
Yeah, real casual. He
Yeah,
been,
it
he
was
been
real
casual a lot.
We've been casual
No,
up here
no,
all
no,
day.
Since I was
no,
15,
no,
I
no.
made my first 100,000. I was 15. We gon-
Well, no, but like, it was so with how that deal went. It was like this, right? So I don't know if you all remember when it was called I can't remember all the stuff, but Russell Simmons. What is his niece's names? The girl that dated Yo Gotti and them.
Okay.
Vanessa
yeah,
Simmons?
Vanessa,
okay.
yeah, whatever the Simmons girls, right? So they wanted to do a clothing line at the time. I bet Russell because Russell liked taller seats. So we were doing YBM taller seats, YBM furniture. We were like we had extended outside of.
He liked the
clothing.
toilet seats.
He loved custom
Okay.
taller seats.
Okay.
This is one of his things, right? So he wanted a YBM taller seat because I met him at a book signing in New York. So he's like, yo, make me a taller seat. We made him a taller seat. He liked the design, but we were going back and forth on a lot of different things. It was me, him, and a guy named Screwface. Screwface works for Diddy. This is how we ended up doing a lot of stuff with Day 26 and all that kind of stuff when I was on tour with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how that went. But Screwface was the one that helped out a lot with that deal. But what we ended up doing was doing these stuff with Russell, doing the taller seats and all that kind of stuff. And then he wanted to use the same design for them to start the clothing line that they had going on with Finish Line at the time. They were doing the tennis shoe thing. And so I ended up just cutting the deal with him. So that's how I ended up stopping YBM because I ended up cutting the deal with him, getting out the deal, making whole with that deal and getting paid off of that. But it ended up working with Russ and Screwface. Yeah.
Shout out to Screwface.
Yeah.
Hell of a name.
Yeah. Screw is just Screw. He crazy, but yeah.
Was that your last
What?
endure with fashion or going into the fashion industry or clothing? at
Yeah,
all?
for me, I didn't really touch on fashion again. We did we did one more time. I did Deaf Native. It was some kids that went to Shaker, that were younger than me. They had a clothing line. They had art, and they were called Deaf Native, and we did the Deaf Native thing for a little bit, but they ended up, the whole structure of business just didn't work for them. So it just went to shit.
Some Shaker kids. So you keep you got strong ties to the Shaker community. Shaker.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, somewhat. I would say, I would say somewhat. I mean, because of sports. You know what I mean? So Coach Young is still coaching at Shaker, so I'm still cool with Coach Young and stuff like that. Yeah, and my parents still live in Shaker, so I'm still up that way.
They was
sometimes.
expecting Lil Paulie to come over there.
Yeah, but Paulie wasn't going that way. He just wasn't going. So Paulie grew up in the whole Ginn situation, from AAU and from Ginn
Okay.
Elite. So, obviously growing up in sports, you want to play with your friends.
For sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it was like Paulie wanted to stay when his best friend CJ went to Ginn, he committed to go to Ginn because Paulie was going to Hawken. Because
Oh, okay.
Paulie went to Jay-Z. Paulie never went to, he went to public school. He was at Shaker till like the second grade. Then I put him in Jay-Z. So
Okay.
he was at Jay-Z the whole time. Then he was going to go to Hawken. And then, he ended up going again because it was one of those situations where, Paulie, at that point when Paulie was going to be either superior in basketball, superior in football, just based off of, his just attitude.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Paulie
that's how
had a
it
good
kind
work
of went.
ethic.
Yeah.
Great work ethic.
Yeah, shout out to Toon, too, because, young Reese had a lot of influence on Paulie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at what point when
Mr.
Paulie
Reese.
growing up did you realize like, oh, okay, he's serious about this or he really can take this somewhere?
It really his freshman year. After his freshman year, Paulie caught a touchdown. So,
And it's all at Glenville, right?
this all that Glenn one thing to talk about too, and to talk about Belly, it was one of those situations where Paulie, the upperclassmen, had took a liking to Paulie, right? And you got to think like when I'm talking about Belly, we're talking about Arvell. So he about to
Arvell Reese.
literally go number one in the draft. You know what I'm saying? Between number one and number three. I mean, that's what it's about to be, right? This is Paulie's homie, right?
Okay.
And they on Paulie like get in this. It's like let's lock in. It's about to be serious. You know what I'm saying? Coach Ginn listening to the older classmen, he throw Paulie in the game. You know what I'm saying? This is the game before they go to the state championship. They need a 2-point conversion. They like, man, just throw it to Paulie. He gonna catch the ball. They throw it to him. Paulie catch the 2-point conversion. And then right from then on there, his whole career just turned all the way up because the upperclassmen believed in Paulie.
For sure.
And then boom,
That's dope.
it worked out from there. You know what I mean? And then from there, sophomore year, they won another state championship, right? Junior year, they should have won another state championship, but that was a coaching situation. This year, they won state championship again. You know what I mean? So, but at that point,
We got 3 of them.
Paulie got 3 state championships
Woo.
and 5 track state championships.
Damn.
Paulie leaving out there with 8 state championships. Paulie already went to college. I moved Paulie into college yesterday.
Shout
I know,
out to
I
Paulie,
watched
young
this,
Paulie.
Yeah. So Paulie didn't even finish his senior year.
Bowling Green.
I watched this.
Yeah.
Was Diary of a. I don't want to butcher it, but I watched
Right.
this.
So yeah, I moved Paulie into college yesterday in Bowling Green because Paulie didn't have to finish his senior year, only because first of all the coaches wanted him. You know what I mean? So they ended up bringing him out there, and then Paulie had did this college preparatory program because Paulie always had a 4.0 GPA. He was always a super smart kid. So he did this college preparatory program where he was in college the whole time he was in high school. So Paulie really didn't even have to do his senior year, but Paulie wanted to stay to win another state championship to be so he could say he was the best team to ever come out the city of Cleveland. And then he shot to college, yeah.
So you see him coming up. You see him grow as a player and as a young man. And so the college offers are rolling in. And I saw on social media you guys taking all these visits.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that. Taking those college visits with your son.
No, the visits were great. So it's like they treating you like they treating how you're supposed to be treated. They want you to, you know what I mean? They want you to be there. You know what I mean? So they whining and dining. They take you different places, and then like with the NIL money, they, how much we want to get them here. What it's gonna cost to get them here. Like those are just the conversations. And then so they fly you out, right? All right. So you get there, they come get you from the thing. They're gonna come get you in 3-4 black trucks. They try to lay it out. Right. Then you go get some food. The first day they take you to the nicest restaurant, right? So you get there, you eat, and they're like, okay, they ask you all these different questions, blase, skip. You know what I mean? But I never forget when we went to Duke. Paulie's first trip was to Duke. It's me and this lady from Texas. She get in the car. We get to the first restaurant. She look, I ain't got time to play with y'all. Okay, Texas offered my son $566,000. All right, how much y'all gonna offer him? Y'all give us $800. He going to Duke. And I'm just sitting at the table. I'm just like, well. You know what I'm saying? We'll settle for $350. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody offered me nothing yet. You know what I'm saying?
Offered you nothing.
You know what I'm saying? I take $350. I ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying?
She set the tone.
She set the tone. So all the rest of my trips was like, all right, y'all, look, I ain't got time to play. Because she had set it up for me. You know what I'm saying? I took it, I took my notes.
She showed it was sweet.
Man, listen, she showed the title. Man, look here, man. Like,
Fuck that food.
I ain't
Fuck
trying
that
nothing
food.
about, I want this food. I want none of this. What y'all talking about? I take $800. He coming to do.
She probably had to return that flight that night.
Damn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But and I see he ends up at Bowling Green, and so
I'm gonna tell you how he got to Bowling Green.
Eddie George, it was in your face, Paul.
Eddie George came over the house with the Heisman Trophy, put that trophy on the table.
You knew it, G. You knew it.
It's Eddie George.
The Heisman Trophy is so heavy, right? So first of all, he pulled up to the house. He got all the police escorts. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first. Neighbors coming outside. They thinking it's a raid.
Do
They
Paulie
don't
know?
know.
Did Paulie know
Niggas
who
Eddie
he
George.
was?
You know what I'm saying?
Did Paulie really understand who Eddie George was?
No, they don't know. Kids don't know who nobody is.
know.
I was like, that Eddie George coming? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So Eddie pull up, boom, he come in the house. I'm like, what's he holding in his hand, this big ass thing? It was the Heisman Trophy. He coming up, we got the glass table, the dining room table.
Yeah.
He put it down, it's like, boom. I'm like, oh, shit, that's the one. I thought it was a demo.
That's the real one.
That's the one. That's the one they gave you.
Yeah,
That's why he held it up in the air.
That's the one they gave you. Yeah. So it was like, that's how Eddie. But it was really the receiver coach. The receiver coach kept coming, He kept coming to Savage Burger, and he could talk. If he could talk your ear, he could talk. And he was sitting up there talking to me so much that it was sometimes I had to go to meetings. He would just get in the car. I'll come to the meeting with you. Like, nigga, like, you know what I'm saying?
Relentless.
You can't come to my
Relentless.
meetings, yeah, so, but they wanted Paulie so bad. Paulie had, because I was telling Paulie, like, Paulie had Yale, Colgate, Howard. Paulie had top schools.
That's so impressive, man.
I said, Paulie, you go to Yale, you change your life. Flat out, because you don't get a chance to be a part of the elite. If they invite you to be a part of that club, nigga, you join it.
For sure.
It's just flat out. And then Frank Cross was a good friend of mine. He's one of the top guys on Wall Street. He called me and like, yo, I saw Paulie got the offer. Paulie go to Yale. He could intern with me over the summertime. We make sure he's the top guy at Wall Street. So I said, Paulie, your end is there. You know what I'm saying? So you done. You know what I'm saying? And my words meant nothing. Just so whenever Paulie look back at this, okay, I still stand on what I said about that going to Yale. Paulie had Georgetown. All right. Paulie's godfather is Jerron. I mean, Jerron Smith was this Coach Ray's cousin. He is Donald Trump's right-hand man. All right, this is Paulie's godfather. He told Paulie, I could put you with the Koch brothers if you come to D.C. All right, niggas don't get the opportunity to work for the Koch brothers. I don't care. We can like them, we don't like them. All right, the opportunity is to be a billionaire, little nigga.
For sure.
Right.
That's just the end-all, be-all.
For sure.
Okay? So if you don't want to take the opportunity, that's fine. I never forget, we sitting in the coach's office. I said, Paulie, I'm just telling you right now, you going to school to play football, not to get rich, and not for education. Because you're choosing the football route.
Right.
Your out is Yale or
yeah.
Georgetown. You already set. But if you want to go do this for football, you go do it for football. Daddy, I want to play football. You was going to play football either way you went.
Either way, you was going to still play
but
football.
But I'm telling you, this decision right here lets you go change the world for yourself. You know, but, you know, he'll look back on it, you know what I'm saying? And then hopefully, not hopefully, it will work out at
It'll work
Bowling
out for
Green.
Paul.
Oh, for sure.
But it's just like the opportunities were on the table on a whole nother scale, a whole nother level.
Right. And,
Yeah.
And talking about politics, talk about some of your politics when you was in politics.
So back in the day, yeah.
And some of your political ties.
Right. So back in the day, so I was the president of the Cuyahoga County Young Democrats, right? So at that point in time, Frank Jackson, who was the mayor at the time, pulled me out and made me, and it took me from the Democratic Party and made me work for him. And I was just basically at first I was just rolling with him, then he made me this quote unquote social media director of the city of Cleveland. And I'm just like, you know, like, because I was rolling with him everywhere. You know what I mean? We were going to Home Depot every Saturday morning just holding church, right? Then, so if you ever want to catch Frank Jackson, you catch him at the Steel Yard on Saturday mornings between 9 and 11 at Home Depot. For real. That was our hangout. You know what I'm saying? It was me, him, and Rope. God rest Rope. So Rope was his security. He passed away. But that was our hangout. You know what I mean? And so we would go there every Saturday. But so when I was working for the city of Cleveland, my job, though, was to basically influence young voters to get behind Frank. Right? Because Frank saw what I did for the Democratic Party. So like, no, you come with me, you come work with us, and we're going to put you behind us, and you work with us. This is when Arnold Pinckney, George Forbes, like all my guys. So we all, me and AP did a lot together. But yeah, so I worked with Frank and won all the elections with him. And I worked with Frank for 8 years. From like to at least, because I was still working with Frank even when I was with LVMH.
Because Frank ain't lose one, did he?
No, Frank never lost.
Oh,
Frank never lost, and we had the 106, the 107 campaign, which was the school levy stuff, and we did a couple other campaigns that we won. Got Blaine Griffin in office, got Pinky Carr in office. We got a lot of people in office. Yeah. Cassandra Williams College, a lot of judges. Yeah, so we got everybody in office.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, are you still working, you know, in the city with any of the local politicians?
I don't, not like I used to. I still donate to the campaigns and the fundraisers, but I'm not involved like I used to. You know, of course, if I get in trouble, I call them. But you know what I mean? Yeah. But outside of that, no.
Would you ever think about politics for yourself?
Because the money is on the back, so the money's in the contracts. Yeah, the money's in the contract. So like, I wouldn't take a political seat, but I will always stay to the point where I could be close enough to get a contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we probably talked about 25, 30 businesses, but let's focus on one that I partake in. I used to like to drink the Saint Sadler wine.
Oh yeah.
So what was the idea behind Saint Sadler wine?
Saint Sadler wine. I was in France a lot when I was on the international team, right? So for Moët Hennessy. So when I was out there in France all the time, I met a lot of people in the wine business. So and there was a lot of people coming out there just doing private label stuff. So what were you saying?
It's not Q&A yet. It's not Q&A yet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Q&A yet.
But it was 2019, 2020, I think, when I started Saint Sadler wine. But so I was out there like going back for a lot of private labels. So the private label is just basically you go to a wine house, they got a cab, you just put your label on it, and that's your wine. You know what I mean? So like when I started going out there a lot, I was just seeing a lot of people come out there from all over the world. And one thing I saw was Barefoot. Barefoot is just a private label. And then actually Barefoot has sold more than any house at that point in time. Barefoot was the #1 selling wine in the world.
Barefoot everywhere too.
Everywhere. This is the private label that was made at one of my homies' winery at that time. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, well, damn, like if Barefoot is the #1 selling wine in the world and y'all produce it, like, you know, like, well, let me get some St. Selling wine. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like it just went from that to coming back and just doing stuff locally per se. So St. Selling wine was good. The biggest hiccup with St. Selling wine was in all the stores. The hiccup had with St. Selling wine is that the lawyer I was using at the time didn't do the wine permits right throughout the pandemic. So after that didn't go right, the feds came in.
Oh yeah. Then I forgot about the feds.
Yep.
You want to touch on that before we
Yeah,
close
I mean,
this
yeah,
out?
that's all good. So the feds came
You
in.
know,
and
we talk about a lot of good stuff. So it's ups and downs in life, and being an athlete and being a businessman, and that was just one of those down times. But I'm pretty sure you learned a lesson from it.
Yeah, I mean, the feds did a sweep. I mean, they came through and hit all the stores, hit all 50 stores, hit my warehouse, hit all that stuff, and nobody went to jail. But it was one of those situations where we got fined heavily because of all because of a permanent fashion. Like shit, white man would have got an email. And they would have told him to, stop the business at the moment.
Right.
Me, they come raid the warehouse with 100 ATF agents looking for all kind of stuff and then give you 30 indictments. You know what I'm saying? None of the indictments stick, but when you have to realize is when they come, they got to give you something. You know what I mean? So they gave me all these indictments, and none of the indictments stick, but they had to take me to trial. But I had to plead guilty to something. You know what I mean? It's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it works. So when you get into that legal system, I never forget this. Because when I was going to take it to trial, because we were about to take everything to trial, they sent the FBI, and the FBI came and they said, Paul, we know you're a businessman, but if you take it to trial and beat the state, we're going to turn the Fed and we just be talking about time.
Wow.
So at that point, I'm just like, all right, well, shit, I plead guilty to the guns.
I'll take off of the guns.
I mean, my guns. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you got to just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And they busted everything down to misdemeanors at the end of the day. And I got found not guilty for all the wine stuff. I just had to plead guilty to something. So I pleaded guilty to, I can't even remember what the damn charge was. They was all misdemeanors. So they ended up being like seatbelt tickets per se.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just, in order for them not to lose, you have to, go with it at some point, some fashion,
So I know that probably had you down and out for a minute or so. What you do to get over the hump of that?
Nothing. I mean, I really didn't have me down. I started Hollywood. They rated me.
Just turned you up, huh?
Yeah, they can't. There's only so much they could do. You know what I'm saying? And then when they do the rating, they don't arrest you. You're not going to jail. So it's like you might as well just keep getting money. So what I did was it was just like that next week I started Hollywood Luxury Rentals. So I already had Hollywood Luxury Rentals in the playbook, but at that point I probably had 15, 20 cars, personal cars. So what I did was instead of trying to sell everything, I went back to the throwback jersey business. I started renting everything. So I rented the cars out. You know what I'm saying?
Food, you left that food. We ain't rent that food, did we?
No, that food probably gone.
Oh,
Yeah. But so we started Hollywood Luxury Rentals, and we started renting all the cars out. So at that point, I had Bentley, Rolls Royce, Porsche, everything you could think of. I had at that point in time. So we started renting all that stuff out. That's when we started Hollywood Luxury Rentals. We started renting all the cars out, and everything got to rolling. And that started picking up heavily. Then we started adding more cars. We started adding the Riker Zone. And that's how that ended up. So it really wasn't. It was, any setback is a setup for a good comeback, right?
That's a good one.
So it's like one of those situations where it's like, yeah, it was a setback, but it set us up. You know what I mean? To start Hollywood Luxury Rentals. Yeah.
Okay, so I see now you're one of your big focuses. Well, is it a big focus for you, the Savage Burgers?
Yeah. Savage Burgers a big focus. I don't like the restaurant business. You know what I mean? Restaurant business is cool, but it's like one of those situations where it's cash flow. Okay. Right, so you keep a little cash flow going on, but like
back to the B2C conversation.
Yeah, it's a B2C, and I'm just not a B2C fan. It was just another one of those plans that me and my homie Tom Capone from Chicago had put together, and I just put it into fruition and just made it work. Right, so we're opening up more Savage Burgers, but I'm a person that I would rather just sell you the beef.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like I would rather sell the beef to the restaurant and not own the restaurant at all. I'd rather just own the butcher.
So you like
Yeah.
franchising or the
Yeah,
opportunity
so
out
that's
there
the whole
for-
plan. So we started Savage Burger literally just to start franchises.
Okay.
So we're open up. The plan is just to have 5 owner-operated Savage Burgers by us, and all the rest of them we open up as just straight franchises. Yeah, and then just sell the company and just get it off our hands.
So that goes back to the marketing because hamburgers and fries is
Hamburgers. So number one selling food in America is hamburgers. Number 2 is French fries. So that's just from your market research. So it's like it was no. I wasn't gonna be selling lamb chops or nothing like. 'Cause they're not nowhere on the list.
The pandemic
Right.
over.
Yeah, like just like it's not on the list.
pandemic.
You know what I mean?
Pandemic
So
over.
it's like you just sell what's number 1 and number 2. You don't sell what's number 6 and number 8.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? You just deal with what's on the top. So if you focus on the top, okay, you're gonna bound to fall somewhere and win up there. You know what I mean? So, but if you focus on something that's being all right, the number 20 of selling food is meatloaf. So you're not about to open up a Savage meatloaf.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna open up Savage Burger. You just want to stay up at the top. So whatever you can figure out on the top and sell up there, that's where you want to stay. Yeah.
Market research.
Yeah,
So-
market research.
So we gonna open it up to Q&A. Anybody want to ask Mr. Sadler any questions? The floor is yours.
How do you manage? Okay, supposed to stand up. How do you manage so many businesses at the same time as far as staying organized and staying motivated?
It's the team. It ain't me. I'm not organized. I'm the idea person. You know what I mean? And outside of the ideas, it's the team, the people around me that really help it operate. So like I'm here, but Savage Burger's open. I'm here, but we out doing stuff for Sadler Construction right now, right? So it's not me, it's the team. So I'm the visionary person. The team is the one. So in business, BS, bullshit, right? In the middle letters is where all the money is made. Yeah. So that's the team. Yeah.
So, your clothing line, you said it was YBM?
Uh-huh.
And what does that mean, young
Young
businessman?
businessman.
So you said you had, when you met with Russell Simmons, and then you leveled up, you had to let that go. Did you have to let that go?
Yeah,
is
because
that how that worked? When you meet with somebody bigger, you gotta let what you have go?
I sold the patent. It was Aborigines art. The YBM idea, the pattern form of, if you ever seen it, it's a pattern form. It's a dot form, but it came from Aborigines art.
Okay.
Right, I had a friend, Mrs. Shin from Australia. She was sending me all this stuff from Australia, and it was all Aborigines art, and it was the dot form, right? Because I've always been an artist. My hobby is art. I collect art. I do all that kind of stuff, right? So that's my hobby. So it was like she would send me stuff just art. So I started the clothing line doing the Aborigines art originally, but we ended up doing a puff paint to make the dots, right? And we patented the trademark, and when we patented the dot form that we did, and then we ended up selling it to them. So that's why it was no more from
So
there.
where is it now? Is that like gone
I
now?
don't own it.
It ain't your business.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know where it
Understood.
went. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Do you care that you don't know where it's at anymore?
I don't. Nah, when it's gone, it's gone. Yeah.
When you said that you were doing the rentals, do you still do the rentals?
No, I ended up selling the rental business to my boy Norman.
Okay.
Mhm.
And when you did it, was it private rentals or did you use a platform?
So we used Turo. You talking about Turo? So we used Turo in the beginning, right? And then Turo, we weren't able to reach the maximum capacity. Now I will tell you with the rental car business, we partnered with multiple insurance companies at first. This is why I got out the rental car business. Rental car business is very lucrative if you can partner with an insurance company. We ended up getting dropped from all kind of insurance companies because you have to realize when you get into the rental company, they're going to total the car,
Yeah.
right? So like, don't get into the rental company like, oh, I love these cars.
Yeah.
They gone, okay?
Yeah.
So at one point in time, we had like 65. I think that was the highest. We got about 65 vehicles. So we had a partnership at that point in time with, it was a insurance company that Tom Unick found for us out of, they were out of Miami because there's a lot of like rental car companies, private rental car companies in Miami that people were using. But the problem with it is that they only would go up to $25,000 on the vehicle.
Right.
And we had a lot of higher vehicles that were getting crashed up. And of course, we tried to do everything when they get crashed up to utilize the insurance, and we ended up getting dropped from them, right? So the thing about Turo is, Turo has the partnership with Progressive, right? So I would say utilize Turo if you have, let's say 4 or 5 vehicles, but when you get into like 10, 15, 20, you're gonna have to go private, but I would not get into the business unless you could partner with an insurance company that will not drop you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But yeah, so we did use a platform. We used Turo
okay.
when it was in the beginning stages for a couple vehicles, but the private is always gonna make more money for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my husband, we do Turo. We've been doing it for a couple of years now.
How y'all like it?
We got different mind states on
Yeah.
it, so
It take
he's
a long
more
time
of
to
a
get paid
private
for the
rental,
insurance, too.
and I'm more of Turo. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's more the crashing thing.
They're gonna crash them. You already
Yeah.
know they're gonna crash the car.
Yeah.
You know,
We done
it
had
just is
totaled
what it is.
cars. We done it's a thing, but it definitely is a nice business. I do love it.
Nah,
I
man.
like to drive the cars.
Yeah, for sure. But if you could go all the way private, I'm telling you. But you gonna have to partner
Yeah.
with it, because if you don't have that partnership with the insurance company, it's on you. And you know what I did at one point in time? I started to make sure that everybody had their own insurance. But this is why I got dicked on the Bentley. So we cats from Detroit, they was coming down buying. You know, the cats from Detroit, they always coming down. And then also, if you can make this play, at UH and also at Cleveland Clinic, they always have like the Saudis and all them coming in. They always want black trucks, and they always want anything, Ferraris and Lamborghinis, anything like that. They always want that stuff, BMWs, right? So if you could make that connection up there, that's a clear-cut cash every single day, because they're up there all the time, and they're paying cash when they come down, like, and tipping. But the number one thing was, what was I talking about?
The insurance.
The insurance, right? Okay. So with the insurance, if you could, the thing about Turo is if you can keep that insurance, if you could do the private sector, you can get the insurance. If you could find somebody that would just not drop you, you all would be 100%
No, you were telling us
sold.
about how you got dicked over the Bentley.
Oh, I got dicked over with the Bentley. So this is what happened. So, this is when I had everybody using their own insurance. Okay, so when you're doing your own insurance, you got everybody using their own insurance. The issue is that they will cut it off. If they totaled the Bentley, they cut the insurance the day when they crashed the car. Said the car got stolen, cut the insurance, then you're liable for that car at that point in time.
Wow.
So that's the only problem with trying to make everybody just have their own insurance, because unless you got a stand-up person, which I had a lot of times, but nobody wanted to cover a $250,000 car.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
How was you making sure they had their own insurance? Like when
So you got to go through the process. You got to call. So when they come in, our process was obviously you got to go through your waiver situation. Then you got to call the insurance and make sure that they got the full coverage insurance, and make sure that the full coverage insurance can go to the amount of the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how you would do it. And they'll tell you right over the phone, as long as the customer is there and they approve you, obviously asking for that. But you just got to make sure that they keep it, because once they crash the car, they cut it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
So speaking specifically like for Cleveland and being an entrepreneur, or it seems like you're a serial entrepreneur, what would you say are like your greatest challenges, and then how do you overcome those challenges?
The greatest challenge is employees every time, right? So it's first of all, you know, my trick is slow to hire, quick to fire, right? So, and when I mean slow to hire, you got to vet the folks before you bring them into your house. And your house is your business, and your house is whatever you got going on, right? So it's always going to be employees for me, because it's like, it's hard to operate multiple businesses without employees. So I rely heavily on my employees, right, to do their job. So if you got folks calling off, if you have folks not doing what they're supposed to do, if you have folks just coming to work and not doing shit, because you'll have that too. You know, so you just want to make sure that, for me, my biggest challenge is always employees, and make sure I find the right employees that'll stick around, because you're going to have folks that want to come and just make some money. You're going to have folks that always want to come and just get some game and then open up their own thing, right? You're going to see that all the time. And then you're going to have folks that just come and just want to be around you, as opposed to doing the job. But then you're going to have some folks that just come to work. And those are the folks that you want to keep. So my biggest one is always going to be employees, and trying to put the right people in place, and make sure that you're tapping into what the employees and who they are too, right? You don't want to put the person who's supposed to be in marketing in accounting. You right? So if you have somebody with the marketing brain, you make sure that you know that they're supposed to be in marketing, because sometimes you fail, because I fail like this too, putting somebody in the wrong position when they should have been in the other seat, you know? Yeah, so mine is always going to be employees. Yeah, what's up, boy? Yeah. So me, it's always OPM, because I've done it a lot of times with my own cash, but it's just you better off using the bank's money. So and it's very hard to get the bank's money. You know what I'm saying? Let's be completely honest. So it's hard to get the bank's money, right? So the number one thing is really just having at this point is really putting an idea together that can really return or yield some form of investment for a person, because doing the OPM method, taking other people's money, it can backfire unless you have something that can really turn into tangible, cash for these people. So I would say it's really all about the plan, but me is always going to be the OPM method because I think that's the best route to go. But going the OPM method, you got to have a hell of a plan, I know you know because you're in business. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? I got a question.
Yeah.
So, through all your journeys, what was like your biggest flip? Like, what was your biggest win? You would say, like single win, and it got to be nothing extravagant, something that you really were proud about.
Like financial wise, or we just talking about just happy about?
Happy.
The biggest flip was Paulie.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Just all that money
There
I
we
had tied
go.
up in private schools for me not to have to pay
There
for
we
college.
go. There we
You
go.
know what I
There we
mean?
go.
Yeah, like the bigger it had to be because, it's one thing to be able to create a business. It's a whole nother thing to make sure a person is, goes along the course. Now he didn't go along the course with the full direction, but you know what I mean? He went along the course to the point where I'm not paying for college. He is literally in there with a 4.0 and he got the Bible in the room. He popped out with the Bible yesterday when he took the stuff out the bag. I said, Lord, no.
Everything I ever heard about your son
Yeah.
has been real positive. Everything I ever heard about him been positive.
Yeah, no, he speaks well. Like I would say the biggest flip would be Paulie. And let me be clear, I have not got the return on my investment yet, but it is headed the right
Still
way.
early. Still early.
Yeah, it's headed the right way for sure.
Are you still gonna be attached to the sports with Paulie gone or?
Yeah. So I have two sons. I have a younger son, Bastion.
Okay.
He's 3, right? So we about to get right on the circuit. So I think Coach Ray started training Paulie at 5 or 6. Yeah, so I had Coach Ray training Paulie. They used to be in the basement with a tennis ball, just getting Paulie's handles together. You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm just really just dumping back in and just redoing it with Bastion. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. My parents were always so if we want to talk about like my first business, right? So when I first started my Uncle Happy was the one that my father's oldest brother was the one that really said Paul was gonna be an entrepreneur, right? But so my parents used to have all old magazines. My father would be in the pastor, he had a bunch of ties. So I would go in their room, get the old magazine, grab some ties out of my father's closet and set up a stand in front of my room, right? And when they would walk past my room before they go to work, I'd be like, yo, y'all need some ties, y'all need some magazines. And then my parents would buy it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, I was a kid. I don't know. This is my father told me this. I don't even remember this. My father is the one that always tells this story. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, that's where it really started kicking in. So when it goes back to my parents and how did they influence me, my parents were the first people to even buy something. That's the first reason I know I could sell something. So it was just like, my parents were like 100% always like my biggest advocates. Like even like you gotta realize like my father's the pastor, right? When I used to be having like parties and mansion parties and the bartenders would call off, my father would be down there bartending and my mother be working the door. So it'd be Saturday night, 4 a.m, we in the back counting money. You know what I'm saying? My mother in there, my dad counting the bar cash, my mother counting the door cash, and they got to be up there at church. You know what I mean? My sister is over there, the door girl. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's our setup. But I think that dynamic comes from us just moving together. Because since I don't have any real family in the city of Cleveland outside of my mother, my father, my sister, and my kids, I'm from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? But my sister's from D.C. Yeah, my sister's from D.C. My mother's from Harlem. My father's from Philly. So I have no immediate family, per se, in the city outside of friends who became family. So it's like with us we had to keep everything like a close knit. So whenever it came to doing something, we all just stuck tight. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Right. 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 Yeah, so Paulie grew up getting his ass kicked. I didn't run that kind of show. You know, that's how we grew up getting our ass whooped too. You know what I'm saying? My mother and my father didn't play that, and I didn't play that. It's just a sadder thing. You gonna get your ass kicked around here. You know what I mean? So it was just like when Paulie would, so people would be like, oh, Paulie got straight A. It ain't the straight A you got. You know what I'm saying? Paulie got his ass kicked if he didn't. You know what I'm saying? And then as Paulie got older, the battles got worse. Where to the point where my parents would be like, look, y'all got to stop this. You know, and then like it was just the point where, you know, because one day me and Paulie got bloodied up, you know what I'm saying? Because we knuckled up pretty bad. But it was one of those situations where it was like, look, we ain't gonna work no more. All right, and that's cool. You know, it's probably like sophomore year, because he got the muscles that, you know, when they get the muscles, you know what I'm saying? Got him a little tail, you know what I'm saying? So he come around the house. You know, and I'm like, okay, you know, I see what's going on. I'm finna lay one today. You know what I mean? But, you know, like, kids don't realize that they'll make you madder than anybody else will make you. So, like, I ain't mad at you like a person on the street. Nigga, I'm mad at you like I'm your daddy. You know what I mean? Like, I had you. You know, so it was like, Paulie's discipline was like, you know, like, it was spiritual. It was ass whooping. Then it was a whole lot of him just, you know what I'm saying, being locked in. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like that setup. So I would say our conversations really always were deep conversations, because it was a lot that went into our relationship. You know what I mean? And it wasn't, because it wasn't always sweet. You know, and I think the relationships that aren't always sweet tend to be the strongest relationships. Yeah, because, I mean, Paulie had to go through some adversity around here. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm telling you, even Paulie said something the other day when we were like, we were just chilling. And we were going to grab something to eat. He was like, man, you know, Dad, you know, I don't know what I'd have done without those ass whoopings. And I said, man, what? He's like, I'm just telling you, like, I don't know what I'd done without them ass whoopings for time. Because, like, you know, his friends, they go drink, they go smoke, they doing these different things. But Paulie is kind of like, yeah, I ain't about to, you know, and don't get me wrong. I done caught Paulie high. You know what I'm saying? He's a kid. You know, they all try to get a little drink, try to get a little smoke, because that's what they doing. Yeah, it's peer pressure. But Paulie, know the time I caught you high, you was unhigh quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like straight up, you know. But everybody don't run that kind of operation. You see what I'm saying? You might go in and try to talk to your kid. I ain't talking to this nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You ain't coming in my house high. It just is what it is. I'm paying here. You know what I mean? And I ain't doing all this for you to be coming around like no junkie. You know what I mean? No, real talk. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so he cool. Yeah. No, he cool. Yeah. And Bastion's gonna get it the same way. You know?
You see, like in the sports that he already took, or what?
Yeah, we gonna see. You know what I mean? Because you never know if they all gonna like sports. You know what I mean? We gonna see. He's gonna be a bigger kid because his mother's big. I'm not. No, let me take that back. His mother's not a big lady, but she's bigger.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? She's just a bigger person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's not fat. I don't want. If she's looking, she's not fat. She just,
No, I get exactly
some
what you're
people
saying.
are bigger. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, you know, I'm a bigger person. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm 6'3", you almost 6 feet tall, he got a good opportunity to be 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know, just stature-wise. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he could be tackling you.
There we go.
Yeah, or he could just be somebody big working at Walmart, too, so who knows?
For sure.
Yeah, so we just got to figure that part out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.